How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. So it's been, to put it quite blunt, it's been a rough stretch for the Cincinnati Reds faithful over really the past 2 decades. But in these last couple years, especially where their team has really tried to become a legitimate contender in the offseason, and it never really came to fruition throughout the regular season, with the exception again of the playoff appearance last season by the Reds that saw the Reds. I don't know what you would call that playoff appearance. Did they get the bats? Did they bring the bats to the ballpark? I don't remember now. Somebody's got to refresh me on that one. Nonetheless, it's been some difficult baseball to watch. But it's now, guess what? New year, new season. And I think we have to go into every season optimistic in understanding it's a new season and anything's possible. So how are we going to get to that point this year? Well, first of all, this is a team that entered last season as a team I think we looked at as a legit playoff contender after the signings of Moustakas, Shogo, you had Nick over there, and a bullpen featuring Rysel and Lorenzen in that back end who you thought could be really dominant. All reasons to be optimistic about this Reds team last season, all of which really didn't fulfill their expectations by any means. I mean, you also throw in there Suarez, who struggled throughout the season. A lot of guys did. There's a reason this team only had one guy bat over 250 last season. All that being said, they still managed to muster out a playoff appearance. Iggy's gone now. I know, another concern. It's always shaky replacing a closer, but Lucas Sims, he's entered the building as a promising piece here. We already know Garrett is going to be more than capable of going out there and locking down games. And guess what? Hey, if Lorenzen can bounce back, and why we have all the reason in the world to believe he can, that is a very good 1-2-3 punch in the back end of that bullpen that can shorten games. Not to mention, if there is any sort of crack or falter there, I think you got Sean Doolittle, who's looking at the outside or on the outs looking in. That's, again, more than capable of being a late inning guy for this ball club here. On the bad side, it's pretty simple. The Reds don't have a quote-unquote shortstop. Let's throw some parentheses in there for a good time. Because stop me if you've heard this one before. Like, I don't know, last year or seemingly every year since Barry Larkin's been gone, Reds ain't got a shortstop. Freddie Galvis came into last season, and the expectations weren't very high, but he came in and was very serviceable. He actually had some key hits for this club, I think, and the key hits that helped him win games. Gotta like what Freddie Galvis did for this team, I think. And I think we can say that, again, out of the combo that the Reds are going to run this season of whoever it be, Farmer, Garcia, Gordon, whatever. I think those guys are capable of fulfilling that same role of giving some promising or some big hits for this team when needed. Maybe they got to be a dominant hitter, but they can be serviceable. They don't need to be batting 290. They can bat 225, 230, and I think the Reds will be fine. If the big bats can bounce back. The big bats that we've seen a lot of home run or bust from last season. The big bats that if they play to their fullest potential, we're looking at, first of all, by big bats, Votto, Suarez, Castellanos, Moose. They all have that 250 plus batting average, 30 plus home run potential. And that's not even talking about the next step forward I think we see Nick Senzel take, and the Winker-Shogo combo that can once again produce a 260, 270 clip for this team fairly easily, I think. I think we seen the floor for this offense last season. Things can only go up and get better from here, and there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about it. Which leaves us to the starting rotation. A starting rotation where we didn't expect the third man in the rotation last season to go out and win the Cy Young, but look what happened. Now gone, of course, over in LA, the Reds still have a very good 1-2 punch in Sonny Gray and Louis Castillo, both of which are aces on a lot of teams. You get to the third man in the rotation, you're looking at a guy like Tyler Mahle that just came off a season with a 5.63 ERA. And I think you look at that and say he's a much better pitcher than that. And at the age of 26, he really does have room to continue to grow, improve, and blossom into a very solid third man in the rotation for this Cincinnati Reds team. It ain't the first time the Reds have gone into a season with, again, question marks on the back end of that rotation. And fortunately for the Reds, and fortunately for Reds fans, the biggest strength you could probably say here for the Reds in this organization is grooming guys and developing them through the system into bona fide or solid starting pitchers. And I think we see those guys once again this year. If that time comes, these guys at the back end struggle early. We see some young guys come up, get an opportunity. And I think it's not too much to be worried about. You know, fourth guy in the rotation is more important than the fifth. You obviously want everybody out there giving your team a chance to win. But I think you want to make sure you got that 1, 2, 3, 4 punch locked down. You worry about the fifth. But I think there's a lot to like about this Reds rotation. This Reds team as a whole. For my perch, you have to forget about last season. And just look at what this Reds team's throwing out there on the field and say, hey, the potential's there to make another run. That's our thoughts. Love to hear your guys'. Go Reds. We'll see you guys next time.